A newsworthy item happening right now. Opposition leaders are about to brief the media following their meeting regarding the xenophobic and gender-based violence. We cross live to Parliament. DA Leader Musi Maimane.
In this time, we want to stand united, and we've requested two things to occur. One, I have written we've written to the presidency to request an urgent meeting with President Ramaphosa. It is time that with President Ramaphosa, we work out a plan that works for all South Africans, that we are able to appropriately deploy the intelligence and the intelligence report that deals with what is happening in the sporadic violence in our communities. Secondly, we've written to Parliament to establish a National Assembly committee. This committee will seek to engage on the previous report that was tabled on xenophobic acts. What were the remedial actions that were put in that report, and why has that report been not followed through? And it then becomes important that across all parties and as citizens that we stand united at such a time as this, give guidance to our citizens, and ensure that ultimately we can hold those who are supposed to be working with law enforcement agencies accountably. Finally, as you would know, we are in coalition governments. We have already, in those respective cities, deployed the appropriate metro policing to make sure there's law and order in our communities, and we can do our best to protect citizens. And then
no, I think maybe just give us a sec while we are trying to get you in picture. All right, your comments and your views on this?
No, I think the statement, this is our collective statement. It says everything that needs to be said at this point. We will be able to speak a bit more when we shall have heard what government has to say about what steps have been taken ahead of this explosion that is in the country.
Yeah, it is important for South Africans to know that we will not sit back and allow our country's image to be tainted by people who are harboring hatred in their hearts for foreign nationals. We remember the days of the struggle, that homes were opened to strangers from South Africa who ran away from persecution. And we need to reciprocate. All those who are legal in the country needs to know that they are warmly welcomed by South Africa. And we want to appeal to our members that let us not rejoice when those who are harboring hatred and those who want to destroy the peace in the country are doing unacceptable things. South Africans are known to be loving and peaceful people, and we want to maintain that. We want all people who come from outside to know that South Africans are welcoming people. So we also want to say an apology to all the foreign nationals who have been hurt, to their leaders, and those, as we heard some from another country, who say, let us pay revenge. We say to them, we are apologizing, we are working on this matter to ensure that it doesn't happen again. So as South Africans, we love everybody, we welcome everybody who's legal in the country, and we hope that what has happened will not happen again.
Just today alone, we saw students descending from the universities across the Western Cape, including pupils from high schools, of course highlighting the issue of gender-based violence, and they were not happy with the politicians that came out. The Minister of Police came out to address them. The Speaker of the National Assembly came out to address them, and one sentiment that was shared and that was reiterated by the students is that there's so much talk amongst politicians. What are the opposition parties doing themselves besides approaching the presidency to take steps of action against gender-based violence?
The citizens have been robbed for a long period of time by this particular government. It is very clear the fact that we failed to do the things that ensure dignity of women in this country. We failed them at school by not providing the dignity of sanitary towels. We failed them when they become partners where we allow violence to occur. So one of the crucial things that we haven't done, we haven't updated the sexual offences register. We failed this government has failed at allocating the appropriate policing to fight against domestic violence. And ultimately, when citizens feel like policing has failed, law and order has failed, and then the criminal justice system in ensuring that actually the sexual offences courts are in place so that we never have to deal, we make sure that prosecutors are arrested. This government has particularly failed. So this is a cry from citizens, and we must stand strong at this point. And as opposition parties, as you know, where we are in government, we've ensured that ultimately we work together to deploy the policing, to ensure that we fight even against the scourge of drug abuse in certain communities, so that we ensure that there's not a variable that undermines the safety of the home in places. And then ultimately, I think as we roundly stand up, condemning it strongly, taking action. And I think as leaders, you cannot sit now in a time when our nation desperately needs leadership to step back. We need to work with citizens. So I welcome students' input, and certainly civil society, NGOs will be working with them to say more must be done. It's time. Talk is talk. We must take action now. Thank you.
Okay.
Honourable.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.